Dear students, in this class, we are going to study about India between 2nd century BC and 3rd century AD. So, we were studying in the past few classes about Mauryas. So, Mauryas ruled India from 322 BC to 185 BC. So, from 185 BC, that is 2nd century BC to 3rd century AD, who were ruling India is the subject matter of this presentation and the future presentations for another 2-3 days. Yes. Now, after the Mauryas, Indian history enters into a state of confusion where many dynasties were ruling, many rulers were ruling simultaneously different regions of India. So we are going to study about them. Yes. So let's continue. So, as I told you, after the fall of the Mauryas, several kings belonging to different dynasties dominated the Indian political scenario and also had left their social and cultural imprints. See, Magadha or the Bihar region, which was being ruled as by the Mauryas, and Mauryas were ruling almost a large tract of India, starting from Afghanistan during Ashoka's period, they were ruling from Afghanistan to Andhra Pradesh. But the center point was Patliputra, which is located in Bihar, and this place, after the downfall of the Mauryas, actually the Mauryas had lost. The last Mauryan ruler, Brihadratha, was murdered by his commander-in-chief Pushyamitra Sunga in 185 BC, and the Sunga dynasty was established. The Sungas, it is said, they belonged to Brahmanas and they were from the Bharadwaja clan. So now the Sungas were originally from Ujjain in western India. Ujjain comes in Madhya Pradesh, so they were from Ujjain. Um, Regarding the Sungas, we have information in Gargi Samhita, Mahabhashya of Patanjali. Patanjali has written Mahabhashya, and in this Patanjali, in this Mahabhashya, there are references to there are references to Sungas. Likewise, there is a Buddhist work called as Divya Vadana, and in this Divya Vadana also there is information regarding Sungas. Kalidasa, who came during the Gupta period, that is some 400 years after, 400 or 500 years after the Sunga rule, Kalidasa wrote a book called as Malavika Agnimitram. In this Malavika Agnimitram, there is reference to Sunga rulers. Likewise, the inscriptions in Ayodhya, Vidisha, and Bharhut, these three places, Ayodhya, Vidisha, and Bharhut, the inscriptions speak about Sunga rulers. Likewise, coins found at Kausambi, Ayodhya, Ahichitra, and Madura. These places, the coins found in these places also highlight on the Sunga rulers. So, as I told you earlier, Pushyamitra Sunga is considered to be the founder of the Sunga dynasty. He murdered his master, the last Mauryan king Brihadratha, and after murdering him, he established the Sunga dynasty. He belonged to the Orthodox Brahminical faith, and the Buddhist literature, according to Buddhist literature, he is considered as persecutor of Buddhists and destroyer of monasteries. He had performed two Ashwamedha sacrifices. I have already told you what is Ashwamedha sacrifices. During the later Vedic period, the people had lot of sacrifices, the practice of doing lot of sacrifices. One of them was Rajasuya, another was Ashwamedha. In Ashwamedha, the king will let loose his horse. The horse will go as far as it can, and the places which are covered by the horse would belong to the king who is performing the Ashwamedha. If the horse is challenged by someone, the king performing the Ashwamedha would challenge the king, and if he wins, he will claim the territory. If he loses, he will lose the territory. So this is called as Ashwamedha sacrifice, and this Pushyamitra Sunga had performed two Ashwamedha sacrifices. Once it is said that In one of these sacrifices, the horse was challenged by an Indo-Greek from northwest frontier. And when the horse was challenged, it was Pushyamitra's grandson Vasumitra who fought a bitter battle with the Indo-Greek and won the territory for his grandfather. Pushyamitra Sunga was succeeded by his crown prince Agnimitra, who ruled for 8 years, and this Agnimitra is said to be the hero of Kalidasa's epic work Malavika Nimitram, or Kalidasa's drama. It was Malavika Agnimitram. So this is regarding Sungas. Apart from Pushyamitra Sunga and Agnimitra, we have one more reference to a Sunga ruler called as Bhagavata. See, in Madhya Pradesh, there is a pillar inscription called as Base Nagar pillar inscription. I have already informed you about this inscription. It is called as Garuda Gamba. And in this pillar inscription, we have the name of a ruler called as Bhagabhadra. Historians consider this Bhagabhadra in the Base Nagar pillar inscription to be Sunga Bhagavata. And according to this inscription, there was a Greek king, Indo-Greek king, Antiochus, about whom I have already told you. This Greek king had sent his ambassador Heliodorus to the Sunga ruler Bhagabhadra, who is also called as Bhagavata. And this Heliodorus is said to have raised that pillar, Base Nagar pillar. And there was an inscription there on the Base Nagar pillar. This Bhagavata was a Sunga ruler, and this Bhagavata was succeeded by Devabhuti. So Devabhuti was the last Sunga ruler. He was very weak, and because of his weakness, his own minister, Brahmin minister Vasudeva, made use of his weakness, overthrew Devabhuti, and after overthrowing Devabhuti, established the Kanva dynasty in 75 BC. The greatest contribution of the Sunga dynasty was Patanjali. Patanjali was an author of Mahabhashya. He was a contemporary of Sungas. And it is said by Patanjali himself in his work Mahabhashya that he had officiated in one of the sacrifices of Pushyamitra Sunga. And as far as Kanvas are concerned, Barhut railings are the most important architectural contribution of the Kanvas. Dear students, I always keep telling you that, see, what I teach you is only a 10% of knowledge. I want you to read, have a very good self-reading, and try to develop your own knowledge. See, knowledge has no limits. So I have introduced you to a lot of terminologies, lot of people, lot of things. I have told you about Sungas, I have told you about Pushyamitra Sunga, I have told you about Agnimitra, I have told you about a book called as Malavika Agnimitram, I have told you about Bhagabhadra, I have told you about Heliodorus, I have told you about Devabhuti, I have told you about Kanva dynasty, I told you about Barhut railings, I have told you about Patanjali. So try to gather more information on all these things and try to equip yourself with a lot of knowledge. And what is important is self-reading and the ability to comprehend things. So I request all the students to take interest in things which are being told and try to empower yourself with more knowledge. Ruled from 73 to 28 BC, this region, the region around Bihar, and Vasudeva was the most important ruler who became the ruler after murdering his master Devabhuti. After Vasudeva, the Kanvas had rulers like Bhanumitra, Narayana, and Sudarman. After Sudarman, they were overthrown, the Kanvas were overthrown by Satavahanas, who empowered themselves in the South India, who expanded to the south, and they established a powerful kingdom. We will later study about the Satavahanas. So, Indo-Greeks were ruling northwest India when Mauryas, the later Mauryas, were ruling Bihar, and that is the Magadha part of India, that is the central part of India, or northern part of India. We have studied about this Indo-Greeks. We had Demetrius, Menander, who had established themselves in northwest part of India and called themselves as Indo-Greeks. So these Indo-Greeks in northwest India were challenged by three important foreign dynasties: Parthians, Sakas, and Kushanas. So when Shungas and Kanvas and Satavahanas were ruling the central and southern part of India, or north, central and southern part of India, the northwestern India was ruled by Indo-Greeks, and later Parthians, Sakas, and Kushanas established themselves here. So first, coming to Parthians, they were Persians. We have already studied that Persians had invaded India in 600 BC. In 600 BC, when Persia was being ruled by Achaemenid dynasty, Cyrus and Darius had invaded India. The Parthians are, after the Achaemenid dynasty, we had Arsakas dynasty in Persia, and Parthians are said to be part of this Arsakas dynasty. When this Arsakas dynasty was ruling in Persia, Mithridates I had come up to the rivers, Indus River. Then later we see some Parthians establishing themselves in India, their own principalities. For example, in western Punjab, Maus, a Parthian, had established a principality. And likewise, there was another Parthian lineage in Gandhara. Gandhara, which is in Afghanistan now, there another Parthian lineage was ruling. So, among these Parthians, the most important rulers were Onons and Ezes. Apart from these two, there was another ruler, Gondophares, who is recorded in the Takti Bahi. The Christian tradition asserts that Saint Thomas, disciple of Jesus Christ, visited Gondophares and made him to adopt Christianity. Were Central Asian tribes. The Saka tribe had come into India, and they had established themselves as three branches. In northern India, they established as two branches, one with capital at Madura and another one with capital at Takashila. In western India, the Sakas had established themselves in Malwa and Kathiawar, that is the Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh region. The Sakas called themselves as satraps. So the northern branch called themselves as northern satraps, and western branch called themselves as western satraps. So these Sakas had ruled India, and in northern satraps, history has recorded 4 satraps. In western India, history has recorded 20 satraps. In due course of time, we will be learning about this western satraps. We will be learning about this western satraps. In Central Asia, there was another nomadic Turkish tribe called as Yuchi. This Yuchi tribe was driven away from Turkey into China by another tribe. But when they entered China, they were again driven away by another Chinese tribe, and hence they had entered into India to drive away the Sakas and establish independent principalities in the northwest India. When the Yuchi tribe entered India, they were called as Kushanas. These Kushanas had established 5 independent principalities. But one Kushana ruler among them, Kozolo Catphesus I, united all the 5 branches of Kushanas, and he established his empire in the region around Hindu Kush mountains, that would be somewhere near Pakistan. And it was Catphesus II who, in consonance of his predecessor, or after making use of making use of the empire established by his predecessor Cadphises I, conquered the south of Hindu Kush mountains up to Benares, that is Uttar Pradesh, and established a Kushana empire. And the next important Kushana ruler was Kanishka, who established a vast empire in India, starting from Magadha to the beginning from Kashmir to Magadha region and up to Vindhyas in the south, Vindhya mountains in the south. That is almost entire North India. Kanishka was considered to be a Buddhist patron. His capital was Purushapara, that is Peshawar. And in Peshawar, that is Purushapara, he had constructed a Buddhist relic tower. And the ruins of this tower has been recently discovered. He was a Buddhist and he patronized the fourth Buddhist council, which we have studied earlier. In Madura, recently a statue of Kanishka has been discovered. Ashwakasha, the Buddhist scholar, was said to have been in the court of uh, Buddha, in the court of Kanishka. Likewise, Charaka, another medical scholar, was also found to be there in the court of Kanishka. Kanishka founded a calendar which was called as Saka Era. Kanishka's successors were Vashishka, Huvishka, and Vasudeva. This Kushana empire came to an end by Sasanian invasion. Again, Sasanians are Persians. So, Persia, Central Asia all had a very big influence on India, Indian culture, and Indian tradition. So, they had always made it a point to come from Persia to India through the northwest Indian region. So Sasanians had defeated Kushanas, but the Kushanas were able to rule the region as small rulers up to 4th century AD with the name, which whom historians have given the name later Kushana rulers. So in this class we have studied about the Mauryan dynasty, the Indian dynasties that ruled after Mauryas. So we identified Sungas, we identified Kanvas, we identified Satavahanas. In northwest India, we identified Indo-Greeks, we identified Parthians, we identified Sakas, we identified Kushanas. And in the following classes, we will be identifying other dynasties also, like Western Satraps, Satavahanas and other dynasties which ruled during this region. And later we will study about the culture, the architecture of this period. So hopefully this lecture should have been of good use to you. This presentation has been made with the help of the books by R.C. Majumdar, Ancient India, published by Motilal Banarasidas Publishers Private Limited, Delhi, and 11th Standard History Textbook of Government of Tamil Nadu. And in this presentation, there is the term Takti Bakhi. Actually, Takti Bakhi is a monastery in Buddhist monastery in Afghan-Pakistan border. So I hope this video presentation would have been of much use to you.